Hi guys, I'm doing a quick project update, and my final project is Be Wed. It's it's a very cool name. What is it? If you write this way, it's Be Wed, but if you write the other way around, it's the Wed. Yeah, very clever. So it's a website that let people create more than one wedding, and they can let they can create content, and user can RSVP, can reserve to attend the wedding. So initially I wrote some user stories here, as you can see in the card. So I move it from this first state to wireframing, and then I did some wireframing in mockup. Okay, so very quick recap, because this is the first time we do the update. My mockup is that anyone can create a wedding between, person A and person B. You can create multiple pages, and in each page you can have either RSVP, or on each page you can create multiple sections, right? Create a section header and some content like this. As I work on it, I add a lot more features. But I only write a few user stories that help me start it. Okay, so I moved that from wireframing design and schema to basic features. Now my app is in this BWeb folder, so let me show you quickly the update. I try to keep the README file up to date. So basically, I say, I need to have an admin. So I finish that. An admin can manage content on the app. I have a model called wedding. It's actually it's between the first partner and the second partner. So you can create a wedding page with like A is married to B on this date and at this location. Okay. Also, there's some image.
Is admin just a user?
Yeah, well, admin is a special type of user, a user who manages the content.
Who's God?
God is my Rails console.
Okay.
It's just God means the programmer himself, really. Okay? When you're a programmer, you play God. Don't forget. With power comes responsibility. The first model I created was that I create a wedding model, and it just have the title, some basic stuff, and then I have the page model. So I finished that, and then I actually use the guest model as users. So a guest will have first name, last name stuff. So my user story here, I can create invitations, and then the invitation. So my first wedding can go to, I create an invitation for my wedding, and then the people can go take that invitation. So I actually implement this is my update. I finish invitation and RSVP. Oh, I finished this too. Okay, so I try to keep some of the user stories to be high level, because if there's too many user stories on the main page, that's distracting. So I also, to keep track of my project, I just go back to my schema section on my README file. It's at the bottom. It's okay, maybe I can move it somewhere. Just keep track. So basically, as you see, after a while, I added more columns to my database, right? To my table. When I first started, I thought I just have title and date and location, that's it. But then I realized that I should separate. I could have a partner name, and then I have a page. So, and then section inside a page. I can decide whether the text should be aligned to the left or the right. And the cool thing start happening, and it start getting pretty difficult, is that I have to create guests, and each guest can invite another guest. So technically, this guest can be invited by someone else, like as a +1. It's an extra part, the complicated part. Another complicated part is when you create a wedding, then you create a one type of invitation. You have the main question, are you coming to my wedding or not? But then the other question is that, hey, are you coming with someone else? When are you flying to the city? Where are you staying? So I allow the admin to create multiple questions. And then RSVP, here is when the relationship is important. I have to create a model that say a guest will be able to respond to an invitation, to be able to say yes or no. And then the guest can also answer specific questions. And I try to keep the data really simple, so I will just have, this is a JSON data type that I can store the answers. This part is a little advanced, so don't worry about this one. Just know that I have an invitation, right? The person who created this invitation can change the text. Are you coming, or change it to something else. The person who RSVP can just only say yes or no. It helps, going or not, right? So later on, my ambitious plan is to track when the user come to my website. They say they are coming. I can track that they will be in the city from this day until this day. So I can say, oh, I have my American friend and this Singaporean friend and this South African friend. They in the city. There's some days they're in the city together. I actually tell them that, hey, you guys go hang out, check out the museum, or do something else before the wedding or after the wedding. Right? So it can be really overwhelming to plan. A few things we just get happy with, plan one thing at a time. So I just walked you through the schema, just described that it's a little dense with the text, but you can make it better by generating a diagram and then show it. Okay, so for my code, then you can just really use your README file or use a different note really to keep track of the extra ideas you have for the app. Just to give you an example, I have one to-do app that is, for example, it's up to you what app you want to use, but I have a to-do app, for example. Then I just, add a few things as I go, and then I just do some quick brainstorming. My purpose is to build something just enough to show you guys that even I am busy, but I can get it done. You have no excuse. You better publish your app. Okay? So my app is now live, and you guys can try to break it. And to use whatever to-do app or whatever tool tracking, I'm going to be here to discuss with you, if you work on this project alone, what are the minimal steps to ship something? If you work on a project with a few people, what is the most common practice, right? To make sure that you have something for the users to use, but then you will continue to add more features, and you can safely add the features and try them out and put them to production. Any question about my app?